Hey, and welcome to another episode of Brownish Live. This one's gonna be just us.
Right.
No guests. Uh, just where do you even begin? Where do we start?
I don't even know where to start. I've been feeling like I can't even put a word together
Yeah,
because everything has been crazy and I just feel like it's been a boiling point.
right.
Um, Everyone is frustrated. Um, People don't feel heard, and just I had to take some time off of social media because I was just getting very frustrated. And then at this point, doesn't matter how much I like or don't like the leader, whatever, of this nation. Doesn't matter what my feelings are. I just feel like it at this point, like I don't know who to go to because that's our leader,
Right.
and just seeing people, take matters into their own hands, and there's peaceful protesters and then there are the looters. And I understand being frustrated in the first protest and like breaking a window and then being like,
Mhm.
well, I need some wipies, and then later, like I understand the
Right.
first time, but now it's like an ongoing thing. And then it's like no one's not no one, but a lot of people are taking advantage and saying that this is a terrorist group called Antifa, and I'm like, how did we go from George Floyd to Antifa? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not the purpose of this whole thing. The purpose is that this man was killed, and because no one um, is out right now, and most people are on social media just trying to distract themselves from the quarantine, they see this brutal death. um, and we just want justice for that man because it's just so often where you know Black people get killed and by cops, and they just got free, and Latinos are the second, you know what I'm saying, where that happens to us. And
Mhm.
it was frustrating for me because I'm a comedian and I'm always trying to make light of the situation no matter how tough things are. But this is a particular one that it's hard for me to find the sweet spot and like trying to find a joke.
Right.
And I remember I had this conversation with my brother, and he's triggered from his personal experience with the cops because he was young and like he was outside, and he was, it was very different in the 90s. So having a conversation with him and just ended up on an argument where he was really, really upset. I had to give him some time to cool off, but it then hurt me more because it was like, damn, like he went through this.
Right.
He was arrested multiple times for so many reasons, and for so many reasons that we don't know why. And it's like from the color of his skin. And I am, from my mom's side, I'm the lightest person, so everyone is darker than me, and so we're Black. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm talking to someone, they're not gonna be like, "Oh, you're Hispanic." They're gonna see me as an African American Black woman until
Right.
I speak. Until I speak, and they'll be like, "Oh, you speak Spanish? Oh, okay." And then they'll put me in another box. But optically, me and my family are Black,
Right.
so it's it's not only a fight for us, Latinos. It's like we we have to support this cause because a lot of us don't understand how it's relate to us as
Mhm.
Latinos. Like I just want to be able to fix what I just said because it just sounded off. But a lot of Latinos don't understand how important it is to support Black Lives Matter. And a lot of people are saying like, oh, what is it that they said? All lives matter. And it's like,
Right.
duh, all lives matter. But we're talking about how this is so common for Black people where they get killed by cops and no one gets charged. And that shows that people don't really take to account that a Black life matters. That's why people are saying Black lives matter. And it's just weird how people are just making it about them.
Right. Yeah,
I just don't
it's so
understand.
funny. I posted there's this, and if you go to my Instagram, you can see it. It's on Facebook too. It's Brown Fist, and it says Latinos for Black Lives Matter. And I had somebody write the All Lives Matter, and I'm like, no one is saying all lives
Yeah.
don't matter. Me and her went back and forth. I'm not one of those people. I'm not gonna, like, even with that, like, I don't come at you like, get the hell out of here.
Right.
I like to have that conversation. So I went back at her and I said, hey, look, no one's saying all lives don't matter, but this, we're
Right.
seeing the law enforcement treat this one community unjustly and not treating them like all lives matter. So right now, as a sign of support, we should support the Black community.
Right.
She came back. I understand that, but again, we're all. She was religious, so she's like, in God's eyes, we're all the same. And I was like, all right, cool. And then the final nail in the coffin for me, because I'll give a little backstory. I know this person. They were friends of my family. I know her
Mhm.
personally, so I just found it odd that that's the platform they chose to post their thoughts and feelings on it. Like, look, if you're on social media and you see something that's not for you, just keep moving. We don't need to go.
Right.
Like, you don't walk on the street and see a restaurant. Like, if you don't like Indian food, you don't go into the Indian restaurant like, excuse me, I don't like this food. I think it's awful. I'm gonna leave a Yelp review, even though I didn't try.
Right. Right.
Not for
Right.
you. Just keep moving. So,
Right.
I got a little personal with her, and she's got kids, and I was like, look, no one's saying you don't love your kids the same, right? Whether you have 2, 3 kids, you love them all the same. If one child is injured or becomes ill, I expect you as a parent to run to that child. I'm not going to hit you with, well, all your kids matter. Why are you
Right.
tending to
Right.
that child is hurt and ill,
Right.
needs your attention right now.
Right.
But these
Ab
kids still matter. It's just this one child right now is hurting. This is what it is.
Yeah.
So, it's so funny to see these people. It comes off as tone deaf or insensitive.
Yeah, it really does because we understand that all lives matter. We understand it. So it's just it's like you're not trying to focus on, like, you're not trying to see a fact. So you're saying all lives matter. Question: do you think Black lives matter? And I now that's gonna be my question when I see someone say, "Oh, all lives matter." I'm gonna ask them like, "Okay, do you think that Black lives matter?"
Mhm.
Okay, so then what is so hard for you to say that? We're not excluding everybody else.
Right.
It's frustrating, and it is a boiling point because it's been happening for so many years. Like Amadou Diallo, that happened when I was 9 years old. And I just remember that story being told over and over again of how this man just tried to take out his wallet and he got shot 41 times.
Mm-hmm.
41 times. And they're not arrested for it.
Yeah.
So the problem is, it's like you have two people in fear. One has a gun. Like, you're saying that you're the other person that doesn't have a gun cannot be more fearful of you than you are of them.
Right.
So it's like, what are we talking about here? It's really frustrating because I have been getting a lot of people on my social media like, oh yeah, but do you think that this is like Trump's fault, or like this is the president's fault? It's like, I'm not saying he was there. I'm just saying, like, just make sure that these people get charged for these
Right.
murders, because that's what it is. They're murders,
I
and they're
I
not
think
being trained.
I think it's amplified even more, like, because like you said, Amadou Diallo. There's been, like, even most recently, like, the Aubrey Garner. Like, we've seen
Breonna
these
Taylor.
videos keep popping up now. I say it's more amplified now because everyone is home and starting to get stir crazy.
Right.
I remember when this first lockdown first happened, a couple blocks from the house, there's 2 gun stores. And I remember in the beginning of the lockdown, there was a line around the block for this gun store. Because people in their heads, oh, there's lockdown, there's going to be depression, there's going to be revolution. Like, people's head, that's how some people's heads just work. So now we're seeing all this happening. Now people are at home, they're starting to get stir crazy. So you can expect that that's gas on the fire. Again, I'm seeing the lines start up at the gun store again, and it's one of those things that is getting scary because it's like, we could have had this conversation before the lockdown, but now that this lockdown is in place and people have more time to really just scroll, and it's like they're getting even more and more mad as they scroll. Like now we're at a boiling point that's scary. And yeah, like you said, we turn to our leader like, hey, not saying it's your fault, but what are we doing about this? And not getting any
I'm gonna send out troops. Like, I understand the riots need to stop, which is a fact. I understand 100%. The riots need to stop. Like, at this point, we're losing focus on what the march was for in the first place. And I feel like I do feel like a lot of people feel helpless because they saw the video and they couldn't do anything about it. And I feel like we haven't been paying attention to these things for so long, right? We haven't, because our lives are so busy and we're doing this and we're doing that. And this, the next best thing is always right around the corner. So for you to stop and watch a video of police brutality, which has been happening for so many fucking years, it's like not important to you because you have the next best thing right around the corner. And what happens is, because we're not doing anything and there's nothing lined up, we're being able to sit down and see something that people have been preaching and protesting for so many years. And again, it goes to like, we're not paying attention. And if you think about society as your body, as your own personal body, and you know that there's something wrong with your body, but you're not going to the doctor, you're not checking yourself. And next thing you know, you go and you're saying like, I can't even get up because there's something there's something wrong. And it's like, you're already at stage 4 and you're helpless because you're like, I could have stopped it. I could have, if I would have just paid attention, if I would have just, so I feel like a lot of people feel like this wouldn't have happened if police were trained, but if the police were if police were held accountable. And now it's a point in time where it's just like, we have to figure out laws or like figure out who to vote for that is going to put these laws in place, because that's the only way we can do it, is by, figuring out like who to vote for on the legislations and these laws that need to be, because when you think about a cop, right? He is not like, how many months is it that you have to be like, how you have to go to training? I don't know, but I know that I could be a cop if I want to. And I personally have a attitude problem or like I get frustrated really fast that I know I can't be a cop. You know what I'm saying? So if I could be a cop and I know I can't be a cop, that's a problem.
Right.
That's a problem. It's like, you have to go through proper training. This is not, you're dealing with people's lives, and people do throw tantrums, but you should understand that if you're taking on this job, that you are supposed to be a protector, not a murderer. That's like, oh, okay, I can, I had a bad day today. This person gonna get a cap in their ass because I feel like it. Like, it just doesn't work like that. It's frustrating because the judicial system has failed us for so many years. And so we're doing these protests and the riot happens, and it's all coming from frustration. And I do feel like there are other parties or other people that are taking advantage for their ulterior motives. But, the real reason why people are marching is for all those people that haven't had justice.
Right.
And Breonna Taylor,
I was watching the news the other day, and they were showing like the protests in Santa Monica, and it's so funny how they try to lump the looters and the rioters with the protesters, and then you're seeing the videos of the people looting, and it's not people of color. Like, I saw this one video, and it was like these 3 white boys taking out surfboards. I'm like, what? What's happening here? Like, why? Like, they're just taking advantage of a situation and sort of devaluing what it is that's happening.
Exactly. And we're setting up these troops because Antifa and this terrorist group. Like, what are you? No, people were marching because there's no justice, right? Like, the judicial system keeps failing us over and over again, and you're only solely going to, just emphasize on Antifa. Like, he mentioned, we're gonna do whatever we need to do to make sure that George Floyd doesn't die in vain. But it's like, but we're going to send the troops out. It's like, okay. What about, we're going to get to the bottom of this. They're going to be responsible for they're going to be held responsible. Make sure you arrest those 3. Like, what is going on? You know, it's like there's pressure being put on the president, but the way that he's retaliating is just like, you're not showing that you are part of this community, like this United States. You're saying we're united, but like, why are you, you know, it's really frustrating. It is frustrating.
Now, what do you say? Because I've seen a lot of this too from Latinos, where they go, "Oh, why should we support when they don't show videos of us or support our causes?" I actually had somebody go, "Oh, we've never seen Latino Lives Matter," and it's like, well, why are you putting that on this movement? You know, for your own personal gain.
Right. It's like the fact that this is being shown to light, like Breonna Taylor, we keep forgetting about her. We keep forgetting about Breonna Taylor. Breonna Taylor was at home when she got killed. At home. And from what I've heard, and like, I need to make sure that I get all my information right. But supposedly, they bum rushed her house. They shot her. Some story that I heard is that they were undercover cops and they didn't have their uniform on. So her boyfriend automatically came to his defense and he had a right to carry a weapon, and he shot at them because he's like, "What are you guys doing in our house?" And she got killed. So it's like, you cannot just go and be like, okay, you can't do that. You can't just go and be like, okay, I'm gonna break into this person's home and then shoot them and then be like, oh, it was by mistake. Like, that doesn't work. You shouldn't. You need to be properly charged for that. So it's really frustrating. And again, like, it's but so much that a president can do, right? So we have to make sure that we vote for the people around our local governments and mayors.
So, but how do you know who to vote for? Because sometimes, like, these people running for office tell us what they want. They want us what we want to hear, and not necessarily carry that out.
Well, that's why we need to hold them accountable, right? Like, just how we are so quick to cancel people on social media, we should take that same energy and do our work, and really be. If we're on top of what Doja Cat is doing, and we're figuring out how she was at we figured out that she was in a group chat and she was saying all these things. Like, okay, cool. But why isn't that same investigative work? Why isn't that going into the people that we're voting for? Right. So we vote for them, and they're doing things that aren't what we need as a country, as a society. Right. Then we can hold them accountable and be like, we're not voting for you next year. Right. Get out of here.
Because I feel like a lot of my family, like, they don't vote, and it's always been like, oh, like, there's some family members like, yo no soy de aquí. I'm from wherever I'm from. And I'm like, okay, that's why I don't get vote. And then a lot of times, and I feel like younger people get turned off by this. We get those politicians that, like I said, say what we want to hear, and then they like pander to us. And how many times have we seen that white power? Hola, amigos, yo soy hermano. Yeah. And you're like, come on, man, just be real of what you are gonna do for the community, what your plan is, and don't try to pander to me.
Right. And the thing is, like, Latinos, I don't want to stand for it and like, just, okay, you're not fighting this fight. Let's say that, we just act like this didn't happen, and then they continue killing Black people, and like no one is being held accountable for that atrocity. Who you think is next?
Yeah.
Who you think is next? So what do we, like, how do you see yourself so? I don't understand how people can see themselves so opposite a Black person. Like, I don't understand. Like, for me, I don't understand, because I'm like, we're not white, and there's so much history. Like, for example, like, I have a friend who's from New Zealand, right? And New Zealand, they're doing a peaceful protest for this current situation that's happening right now with George Floyd, right? And somebody wrote them like, but what about the Aboriginals? They were raped and enslaved and all this stuff. And it's just like, bro, Like, we completely understand that, and fighting for this cause is like making sure that people are treated like human beings. It's also going to set the standard for every other person that is not white. You understand what I'm saying? It's just like,
Yeah.
we're like, this is why it's so important to say that Black Lives Matter, because it's, if we don't, then we are failing ourselves, because we gonna be next.
Right.
Point blank, period. That's the problem. And again, like I said, like, from my mom's side of the family, I am the lightest one. So optically, immediately my family is Black optically. And yeah, we speak Spanish and we Dominican and all this stuff. But if they're driving somewhere in the South and somebody stops them, they're not gonna stop them and be like, oh, because you speak Spanish. They don't care. So how is it that you can say that you're Latino? If you're Latino and you're not fighting for this cause, you're failing every Afro Latino too.
All right. That's
That's
why
what
I
we
get
fail.
mad. I get mad at Hollywood too, because like there's so many perfect stories for them to tell to sort of show the struggle is tied together. Like Roberto Clemente, right? We'll take him for an example. Like that's a story that I'm just blown away that has not been told yet by Hollywood, because he's a Puerto Rican ball player, played for the Pittsburgh Pirates, pero Afro Latino. So if you read his story, he's a guy who was playing the major leagues during a time when segregation just started, happening. Jackie Robinson had already broken the color barrier, but Roberto, when he goes to the hotels in the South, he's being lumped in and treated like a Black person because of the color of his skin. But we don't see those stories because Hollywood hasn't told them yet. So I feel like a lot of Latinos go, oh, well, that's not me, so I'm good. And be like, no. We've been fighting this fight too, because like you said, you're, on the color spectrum, I have family members, darker skinned. And yeah, when they get pulled over, it's not because, oh, we see this Puerto Rican suspect. No, there's a Black man in a car, pull him over.
Yeah. Right.
So I don't know. It's frustrating. We're supporting the cause. We were going to do a live, and we're following the Blackout Tuesday because we thought it wasn't going to be the right time. But it's frustrating to see some of our people that go, I'm not. What about Latino lives? And you're like, dude, we gotta stick together on this.
Our lives matter, but it goes back to what you said. Yo, if someone is injured, how the fuck can you just sit there and be like, yeah, but what about me? Look, I have a little like how?
Yeah.
No, you're so narcissistic, and it's like, and the people that I've noticed that identify or like, oh, but what did the president do to you? What did the president do to you? Are just as narcissistic, because they're the same ones that are saying like, oh, lives matter, like, what about me? It's not about you. It's about us. It's about us, and we're seeing that someone is in danger. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're seeing that someone is hurt. We're seeing that like us as people, we need to run to one another and help heal each other. Like, even when you think, it's like, even if you think about how our bodies work, when our parts of our bodies get wounded, like all of these, all the white blood cells, they all come together, and they make sure to heal that part in your body. Your body makes sure to heal, and that's a miracle. That's a miracle. And the fact that there's a lack of empathy, or it's just everyone is just so into like me and what I'm gaining and this, that, and the third. And part of me feels kind of like responsible, because I'm like, I should have been able to be more aware about who to vote for, when to vote for. And like that put a switch on my mind. And I'm like, you know what? I know I'm upset, but did I vote when I needed to vote?
Right.
Did I vote when I needed to vote? Did I do the proper steps? And did I do my research? No. I'd be on Instagram for like hours. So it's like I feel responsible and guilty for the things that I'm not happy about in this country, but I'm not even, I didn't put my best foot forward. Yes, I have great intentions, and like I would, be like, okay, I'll vote for the president, but it doesn't end with the president. Like it doesn't start with the president. It starts with who we vote for around our community. And little by little, how that trickles into something bigger. Because, I'm also a true believer that if you know there's something wrong with your community and you know that your community has a problem, it's like, okay, if we see that we have a problem and that we are kind of doing things to ourselves, then we need to figure out how to talk to each other to stop it. Let's stop it. And let's start really taking care of ourselves. It really starts from one person, from within you. Like the way that you see yourself is the way that you're going to treat other people.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't value yourself as a person of color, if you don't value yourself as a person of color, you're not going to value the people around you. You're not, because all you're going to want to do is escape who you are instead of embracing who you are. And you think that, and then every time we go into the room, we go in and I'm like, oh, am I good enough? Am I this enough? Do I deserve to be here? Our oppressors don't walk into a room like that. They walk into the room like, this is mine. And we don't walk in a room like that.
Well, you said
we don't hold it to a high standard like that.
Two things that I really want to highlight that you said. Number one is communication. I feel like, especially now with social media stuff, we should be communicating more. And, there are people out there that we can talk to, and, going through even not even just this, like with the Black Lives Matter, like you can reach out and talk to the Black Lives Matter org and people that are, out there protesting and going through the struggle, but communicating within amongst each other so that we can start having this open communication. Like I would not have had that conversation with that woman with all lives matter if, I wasn't open to having that talk with her. I could have easily been like, all lives matter, middle finger, get out of here. But trying to start that dialogue of like, all right, I understand that, but this is what this means. And sure enough, coming to a place where they go, I didn't realize I was coming off insensitive.
Right. And that's another thing. Yeah, I've learned that too. I've gotten a lot of people that were like, oh, but what about this? And what about this? And what about that? And I'm just like, okay, I'm going to state these facts, these are the facts that have happened. These are things that are in the third. And this is what I'm going off by. But, old me would have been like, get the fuck, you know what I'm saying? Like, shut up. Old me would have been like this, but I'm going to be like, this is why I believe what I believe. And if you don't, then it's okay. We don't have to agree about the same things.
Right. By the way, old you should have never been a cop. Old you.
I know.
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
The second thing you said that I really liked was we need to educate ourselves.
Right.
Like this past election, it was the first time I actually started like looking into these issues of like within my community. Cause like, I've got kids. So one of the issues that came up was this prop for public school funding. And like reading about like, oh, these public schools need more funding. This is what this proposition is going to do. Okay. So like, I really think that this is a good time for us to just educate ourselves of what is happening. Like I know, Blackout Tuesday, a lot of people throwing up the black frames, but not really educating themselves or taking action. Like social media action is one thing, but actually going to the Black Lives Matter website and seeing what their demands are, what they're trying to do, what petitions they have. There's also the NAACP, and doing that research, I think is very beneficial, and is actually going to cause some kind of change.
Right. And I think that the problem is that it's overwhelming, right? And people feel overwhelmed and exhausted already just by thinking about who to vote for. Right. And I mean, it wasn't done in our generation but I hope for like in the future generation, like, we keep saying that children are the future, but we're only teaching them history, but we're not teaching them political literacy. Mm-hmm. And I think that is what needs to happen, because I sometimes, even now, I have to reread things and try to understand, okay, what is it? Because they use all these different types of words. And I'm like, for us to even be in the playing field, because we feel like the judicial system has failed us, we need to become part of the judicial system. Right. And I would say this, like for a very long time growing up, the only people that I feel that have made it would be celebrities. We would never take under consideration that you can be a lawyer, you could be a doctor, or you could be all these things. and how you can actually play a part in society and really make actual change every day. It wasn't like a thing to really like, it was like, oh no, this is what I see. I need to be like this person to get out of here, right? But if we teach our kids political literacy, then our kids, people of color, will be able to make actual change because it's already been taught in the schools. Now, I'm not talking about who to vote for. That's not who I'm talking about. It's talking about, okay, these are what the stands are, like this is what that means. And because that just needs to be taught to high schoolers and colleges.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's important.
we're forcing these kids like go out and vote, but they don't know what they're voting for.
But they don't know what they're voting for. They don't know what they're voting for, you know, and it's very biased sometimes where people vote for things and it's like, oh shit, I didn't know that, we can't do this. Well, you voted for this person. Oh shit, you know.
Like I
So
can't tell you how many times I saw young people on the last election go, "Oh, I'm voting for that dude from The Apprentice." And like, you don't even know what this dude stands for. Just because you saw him on TV, that's who you're going for. And it's like,
it goes back, yeah, and it goes back to, you know, this person taking credit for things that were already placed before that person was in house, right? And then there were other things that, yeah, you add to like make the economy better and stuff like this, but there was already things happening previous that would, like, how did the economy all of a sudden boom out of nowhere? It was because there were certain things put in place. And you know, there's certain experts, like I was reading on something, like certain experts are saying, like, you know, the last couple years of the Obama administration, like Trump is not doing anything different than that. So it's like just being able to, you know, people need to, that's why it's important that people learn political literacy. You know, like just a little bit of it in high school, college. And if you want to really learn that shit, you go to college. But that is just important because I didn't know. High school, was I thinking about the president? No. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about who was the president of the United States, but that's how bad things are getting. That even now I'm like, oh shoot. And like now I'm having a conversation about presidency with my 18-year-old niece, which when I was 18 years old, I wasn't thinking about the presidency.
But now it's all around. There's no way of escaping. Like I'm having that conversation now with my 7-year-old because he's seeing these images pop up, and he's like, wait, what? Why are these people out there like with the protests? I'm like, well, they're you know, I've got to break it down to him in terms he gets. I'm like, think about when, you know, you're not happy with mom and dad when we give you some kind of dinner and you cross your arms. I'm like, that's a protest. You're telling me you're not happy with what's happening. So these people are gathering because they're not happy with the way things are going with the justice system, and you know, trying to break it down to him, but trying not to unload too much on him because it's a lot to process.
But something like that
kills me. Like thinking about when I was 7, like I wasn't even aware of what was happening in the world around me, and now at 7, I got to explain to him like this is what it is. And then he hits me with this. He was like, "So wait, when you go out to the store and stuff, do you have to be careful because you're brown?" And he's like, "Oh man, yeah, man. It's you're aware of we're different now. It's dang. I just want you to be a kid and carefree, but now you've got this in your head. You're self-aware."
Right. That's the thing. You know, like little by little, just teaching people little by little, and it's not to make people go against each other because they're from different parties. Like if you believe there's things about the Republican Party and you believe things in the Democratic Party that you stand for, then that's okay too. Like we need to tell people that's fine. That's fine. Just make sure that if you vote for someone, it's not someone that's going to drastically going to like destroy a nation. Now, I'm not saying like that's what our president is doing now, but I'm just saying like we need to make sure that at least the people that we vote for are not going to damage what all these people have built for, you know, like, you know, my parents moving here, my dad moved here from Dominican Republic, and, you know, raising his children and like wanting to make sure that they went to school and stuff like that. Like just giving equal opportunities to people. Like that's important. That's just important. And just saying that a person's life matters, a Black person's life matters, it's just as important, you know, because you're sending the wrong message to other people, because people could be like, oh, you know, black life don't matter. Like, even if it's not intentional, people are going to take that in as like, well, that, you know, they don't matter. That's not how shit works. Like, it doesn't work like that. We need to educate ourselves, educate our children, just political literacy, like just a little bit, little by little. Because if they're the future, then why are we not prepping them for the future?
Right.
If they are the future, why are we, come on.
Are you running for office? I feel like you're running for office on that end point. You really stuck the landing. If they're not the future, why are we not prepping them?
Lefty, just like Obama. No, I'm not going for office. No, no, that's not, I'm not going for office. I'm a creator, I'm a writer. And that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna continue creating. And now for me, it's important that I not be the only person of color in the room. If I have the power to bring more people of color in the room, that's exactly what I'm gonna do.
Right.
It doesn't end here, because
isn't it crazy when you were growing up, like your parents, you could be president, and now like nobody wants to be president because it's
right. I'm like, that's stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that it's not easy, but it's just like, you know, having this white man put his knee on the neck of a Black man, right? It's what's been happening for years, metaphorically, in people's careers, right? Like, they're like, yeah, we're gonna help you, but then put their project on a shelf and you never hear from it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, for so long, and it goes back to like, you know, cutting the middleman. For so long, the middleman has gone like, hey, I'm gonna help you, and then it's not happening. Like, it's you're sitting on a shelf.
Right.
And now that we can speak to our people directly, that's powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like with social media and stuff, we've sort of taken our careers into our own hands, because now it's direct to consumer. We don't need that middleman to tell us. It used to be like, oh, you worked hard, and oh, you know, we'll talk to this network and try to get you a special on this platform. And now it's like, oh, I could release that on YouTube and get the same traction. Some of these networks are falling to the wayside because they're not needed anymore. Because right here, boom, we're talking directly to you, and we don't need somebody to tell us how to do that. You're right here.
But think about how much brown content, how much Latino content now has been surviving and living, and being able to succeed, because there's no middleman.
Right.
There's no longer a middleman, a white man or anybody sitting in the way and be like, okay, so we need you to make this. No, I go on my social media and I talk directly to the people, and they understand what I'm saying, because the people that speak like me exist. And for so long, they've been telling us that we don't exist. And I'm standing right in front of them. So it's like, that's the pro.
That's the one thing, like, I am just blown away by, you know, like, yeah, everything going on, protesting, the rioting, it's very, like, it's overwhelming. But I do love that with social media, I'm seeing artists come together. I'm seeing communities come together and spread the word, and spread, like, you know, when, you know, everything happened with George, like watching, you know, oh, we can donate here, we can start doing this, we can start doing that. And social media has really become like almost like the bullhorn, where we can, guys, this is what we need to do to make that change. Like you're saying, educate everybody. You have that platform now to go, hey, we need to educate, and that word can spread as people start spreading that message of like, yeah, we need to educate in political literacy and teaching our kids.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely. And there's gonna be people who be like, what does it matter if we vote? What does it matter? And I'm like, those people are holding us back too. You know? So it's like, you know, going to high school and like having your friends be like, but why you want to do all that? It's not like you're gonna be like this person. It's not like you're gonna be like the next J-Lo. It's not like you're gonna do that. And then if you listen to them, you're not gonna be anything.
Right.
But because I didn't listen to them, you know, I'm being able to make the strides that I want to make. So people tell you not to vote, don't listen to them. Don't listen to them.
Go vote. Make a change.
Go
You can
vote.
get a change.
Make a change.
So this was not a funny one, guys.
No, not at all.
With everything going on, it was one of those things where me and you met before and we're like, we have to talk about it. Let's do an episode and just have that conversation.
Right. And then I did post a Twitter where I'm like, where's Kendall Jenner with her Pepsi? We need her at this moment. I wrote that and then I posted it on social media and somebody's like, how dare you make a joke at this point in time, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, first of all, I'm making fun of the media and how they try to sweep this shit under the rug and thought that this was appropriate with a can of Pepsi. So I'm making fun and I'm making a joke at that.
Yeah, I saw a tweet that made me laugh. They're like, I can't wait for Gal Gadot's rendition of "Fuck the Police."
Right.
When it first happened, the Imagine, I was like, oh, boy.
Fuck the police. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's, I'm still a comedian and I'm still going to make my jokes, but I'm making more jokes about what's around people's reactions to what's happening, not what's happening, because what's happening is not a joke, but people's reactions to it is pretty interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's been it for us, guys. Thank you guys for joining us. Again, follow Sasha Merci on all things at Sasha Merci. I'm the other host, Erik Rivera, and follow us. And like it feels like it's like a sad guys.
Oh, I'm gonna go read now. Yeah. I'm gonna read this. Stillness is key, and I'm gonna be reading "Becoming" by Michelle Obama.
There you go. Yeah, guys, just be safe out there. We're supporting Black Lives Matter. I'm not saying that all lives don't matter, but right now they're hurting. So let's support the Black community. Educate yourselves on everything. Go to their website, go Black Lives Matter website. There's other websites out there, NAACP. Educate how you can make a change, how you can help, and also educate yourselves on the upcoming elections. We should all know what we're voting for, right?
Right.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye. Take care. Bye.